Final segment, Sons of the Shoe. Spencer German with you on the show. Appreciate you guys tuning in again this week. And we've had a lot of good stuff to talk about. I want to conclude, though, with another big headline that made waves this week as multiple reports from some of the big outlets that obviously cover Ohio State indicated that apparently the Buckeyes have been working with Caleb Downs as a threat out of the backfield at running back, complementing, if you will, TreVeyon Henderson and Quinshon Judkins, who are already a star-studded backfield in their own right. Now you're throwing Caleb Downs into the mix. And I get it. Maybe you're thinking, why would you take carries away from the other two guys? Do they really need him to do this role? This goes back to, for me, and I talk sort of along the lines of what I talked about at the top of the show. Ryan Day has essentially signaled this entire offseason that he's empty in the clip. If he's going to go down, if he's going to get fired, especially with a new AD in there who might want to bring in his own coach and whatever, if he's going to go down, he's going to go down swinging. He is going to unleash everything he has at his disposal, everything he has in his arsenal. And the idea of Caleb Downs playing running back intrigues me immensely. Think about it. Like, you got TreVeyon Henderson. You got Quinshon Judkins. Every now and then, and I'm not saying, like, get him out there. Even it doesn't even have to be, like, once a game. Like, save him for the bigger games, the Oregon, where that's a team that's going to try to have a track meet against you anyway. Why not use the freak of nature athlete who's a kick returner for you, who is a great safety and a safety and defensive player for you? Why not unlock that guy and use him in the offensive game plan in some way, shape, or form? I'm co-signing this. I think it's great, and I think it gives you a wrinkle that teams maybe wouldn't necessarily have been accounting for if it was just Quinshon Judkins and TreVeyon Henderson. And now they got to think about another player coming out of the backfield, maybe catching passes out of the backfield and attacking you in that way, or maybe just straight up being a running back for you out of the backfield in certain formations or on certain plays. I think it's great. And this is, to me, like, I understand we've been so ingrained in today's day and age of football to basically we see a player as one role. It's like, hey, he's a safety. You got to specify when you go to the NFL, what position do you play? And sometimes there's these tweener guys, right? Guys who maybe are a linebacker or maybe a safety in the NFL and they don't know, and you got to figure out what position you're going to play. We see it with quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson, everybody wanted him to be a wide receiver. He bet on himself, and now he's won 2 MVPs at quarterback. So good for him. But yeah, like, we want to put people in a box of, hey, you can only play one thing. You can only play one position. What position are you? I don't know. Like, I think there's certain players who are special enough that you can utilize them in more than just one role or more than just one position. And Caleb Downs is that type of player. I mean, look what, and maybe some of it's by necessity for Coach Prime and Deion Sanders, where he's got Travis Hunter playing both sides of the ball because, well, he's that talented that they're like, well, we need somebody who can do it all on both sides. So, yeah, he's going to play both sides. He's not going to specify one position or the other. But if he can do it, I think Caleb Downs can certainly do it. And I love the idea of Ryan Day not just like limiting himself to what role Caleb Downs has kind of been, you know, I don't want to say put into, because he did choose this, and this is kind of the position that he plays naturally. But just being put into a box of he can only do this one, he can only do kick returns and defense for us. No, if you got a freak athlete like that, I think getting him involved in the offensive side of the ball actually makes a ton of sense. And there's the other part of this, which is that Caleb Downs played running back in high school. He went to Mill Creek High School in Georgia, and his junior year, he ran for 389 yards and 20 touchdowns on 57 carries. And he posted 648 career yards with 27 touchdowns. So almost doubled his yardage and added 7 more touchdowns in his, or sorry, that's for his whole career. I apologize. That was for his whole career. 27 touchdowns in his varsity high school career, along with the 648 yards. So at the high school level, there was coaches, and I understand in high school playing both ways is more commonplace, but he was used in that way anyway. So it's not like he hasn't done it before. I'm sure there's different terminology and things, whatever. I'm not worried about him learning the entire offensive playbook. I'm just worried about him being used in certain situations, certain formations to give you an extra element to think about. And like, who, I don't know, how could anybody possibly be against this? Like, this is, I did the evil Urban Meyer earlier where he was like concocting a plan to get his way back to being the Ohio State head coach. No, this isn't like this. This is a more appropriate place to use that, because I'm just picturing Ryan Day and Chip Kelly sitting in a meeting room and they're like, hey, our opponents, they got to think about Quinshon Judkins. They got to think about Travion Henderson. They got to think about Will Howard as a runner and a passer. They got to think about Emeka Ibuka. They got to think about Jeremiah Smith. They got to think about Brandon Inniss if he gets back healthy. They got to think about Carnell Tate. And you know what? Let's make them think about one more thing. Let's make them think about the possibility that Caleb Downs comes out of the backfield and catches a pass and then takes the ball 50 yards for a score. Or we hand it off to him on an option play and he just bolts off through a hole for a 70-yard touchdown. Let's give them another thing to have to plan for and another thing to have to talk about. I love it. I love it. This is a great move. And to me, in the theme of this show being Ryan Day caring so much about the Michigan rivalry, that he's yelling and scolding Aaron Dunstan as she leaves the program and goes to Michigan, and him caring so much that they invested all this time and money and energy into beefing up their NIL collective so that they could get more guys through the transfer portal, and that they care so much that they're already thinking ahead to the Michigan game and they want to get revenge on all these people leaving. Like, in the vein of him caring so much and knowing his job could be on the line this year, knowing that there's a lot of pressure on him as the CEO, head coach of the program, to finally deliver and finally beat Michigan after losing 3 straight times and be in that national championship conversation. In the vein of all that, the fact that Ryan Day is thinking about 3D chess moves of how can I utilize another weapon that we have on this team? How can we amp ourselves up even more in terms of our roster and really tap into the talent that we have filling this thing out? Like, I have no problem with it, and I think it's an awesome card for Ryan Day and Chip Kelly to play this year. Another pushing the chips into the center of the table type thing. Unload the clip, go for it. The idea of Caleb Downs playing running back intrigues me a ton, even if it's only going to be in small spurts or in some of those bigger games. But that's when you need it. That's when you need to pull something like that out. And hey, you got the talent on your roster. You got the player at your disposal. Use it. He's going to probably be returning kicks. He's going to be back there as a safety, manning what is being dubbed the best secondary group in America. But I think incorporating him in this way offensively is a great move and a smart move. And again, an all-in move by Ryan Day in a season with a lot of high stakes on it. Guys, how do you feel about the possibility of the Buckeyes using Caleb Downs as another running back or another weapon out of the backfield this season? Let us know in the comments section at 92 Through the Fans YouTube channel. You can also hit me up on X at Spencito_. In the meantime, I appreciate you guys jumping on in. Please like, follow, subscribe, whatever else you can do. If you can interact with the podcast in any other way, please do so. We're a relatively new podcast. We're not even a year old yet. That'll be happening this fall during football season. And Nick and I want to certainly keep generating some buzz with this thing and keep this thing rolling. So I implore you to do all those things in the Odyssey app, wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Did I mention Apple Podcasts? I think I just did, but I'm mentioning it again. So please do all those things. And you can find us, of course, at the 92 Through the Fan YouTube channel and at 92throughthefan.com. Until next time, guys, hoping Nick is back next week once he's all sort of settled and moved into his new home. And we're also hoping to potentially have a guest coming up for you at some point in the near future. And I'll tell you, we're crossing enemy lines to potentially get this next guest that's going to be coming on the show. We'll see how he feels I'm not going to give too much away, but we'll see how this potential guest that we have would feel if somebody would leave Michigan's program to go to Ohio State's program, and if he would yell at them. We'll see what he has to say about it, hopefully next episode. But until then, thanks for watching, guys, and as always, go Bucks.